Yasu Malagedo. Welcome to the Malaka podcast. The worst job I've ever had, and weed, part 3. Ladies and gentlemen, what a time to be alive. We're living in such a great world where if you live in certain parts of the States and all of Canada, you can get weed at a store, at a dispensary store where they specifically sell weed and edibles and oils and weed pills. I don't know. Look, I just personally just stick to weed, okay? I buy some zigzags. I'm old school, okay? No bongs, no brownies, no blunts. I'm just stick to the papers. The papers, Josh. Where are the papers? That's a great line spoken by Zach Morris in Dead Man on Campus. Underrated movie. Anyways, you can get weed pretty much whenever and wherever you want now. You can even get it through the mail, okay? But who wants to fill out all that paperwork online? And you'd rather just go out if it's a very nice day, go for a walk, buy some weed, and just do what you gotta do. Enjoy life. Because of the coronavirus, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? The point is, if you're not much of a drinker, just get high. So I figured this podcast I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna combine two of the ideas that I've had in the past. I've done weed and weed part 2, where I've talked about getting high after 4 years and being high that podcast and really not remembering much of anything. Then I talked about that one time I worked at a illegal dispensary. Boy, that was fun. And then my other podcast idea, I have so many, of the worst job I've ever had. I've done part 1, I've done part 2. So you know what? I figure like 2 great things, like peanut butter and jelly. Let's just combine them both. So I'm going to talk about my experiences working at a dispensary. No, not as a weed dispenserer or bud tender, as they call it. Genius. I'm talking about security. Now, for those of you who couldn't figure it out after 116 shows, I do work security. I'm not afraid to say it anymore. I've been doing this for a long time, over 12 years. I got tons of stories I can say, but I still want to get work. But at the same time, there's certain things I just have to talk about by working at these 2 dispensaries. Now, obviously, I'm not going to name them by name, but I'm going to throw you a bunch of clues like I always do, and you can just figure it out by yourself. So that's where I came up with the one idea and the other idea, put them together. Beautiful. So let's start from the beginning. As always, I always like to go to Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia for Malakas, and we'll start from there. So obviously, they got a little thing called a cannabis shop. Most people call it a dispensary, but blah, blah, blah. A cannabis shop, a cannabis dispensary, or a cannabis cooperative is a location at which marijuana is sold for recreational or medical use. In the Netherlands, these are called coffee shops. In the United States, they exist as an outlet for both recreational and medical use. These shops differ from head shops in that the latter sells only drug paraphernalia. In 2015, the city of San Diego, as Mr. Beautiful Anchorman would say, made a green alternative, the first licensed medical marijuana dispensary and delivery service in the city. The world's largest cannabis dispensary is in Las Vegas, Nevada, at 112,000 square feet, opened by Planet 13 Holdings. Holy fucking shit, that is huge. What, 100? Holy fuck. Wow. What stays in Vegas stays rolled up in Vegas. Hold up. Hey. Coffee shop. Now, this is what a lot of people pretty much call the slang of the dispensaries, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Especially in the Netherlands, like I said before. Cannabis selling coffee shops began in the 1970s. Establishments like Mellow Yellow Coffee Shop were known for open cannabis smoking and dealing after an explosion of hard drugs. Authorities began to tolerate soft drugs and legalized cannabis selling in registered coffee shops. Well, it's about fucking time. Like I said before, let's just be honest with ourselves. We owe it to two men for bringing weed to the mainstream and for people finally not giving a fuck about weed after all this time. I'm talking about Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong, also known as the comedy duo Cheech and Chong. I remember even in one of their movies when they went to Amsterdam, which was bound to happen eventually, they had these like little coffee shops, little coffee hut, whatever, like even the one they built for the movie. The guy afterwards, he just kept it, and they just, he opened up a shop with it. So that's awesome. And you go there, you smoke weed, you have edibles. That's it. I mean, you just go nuts. There's nothing wrong with that. In Canada, we're still waiting for kind of shops like that. It's very, sealed tight so far. We'll get into more of this later. I'm just painting the picture here. The beautiful green weed picture. Anyways, now the term dispensary in certain territories in the United States and Canada, dispensaries distribute cannabis to the general public or in some cases only to approved patients. In Uruguay, cannabis dispensaries are built by the government and can sell to the public. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not from Uruguay. I don't even know that much about the states. If you show me a map of the states, I can point out Texas, California, and what's known as the USA's penis, Florida. But I can tell you that in Canada, you can smoke. Well, no, you can't smoke anywhere you want, I guess. I don't know. They're kind of bitchy about you. You can smoke in parks and libraries or schools. But you understand that. I mean, there's kids around. You don't want them smoking weed till at least till high school or middle school or whenever they're watching SpongeBob SquarePants, whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. Just, but for the most part, you can smoke anywhere. It's like smoking a cigarette. But at the same time, you still can't drive. Don't smoke weed and drive. I think I talked about this before. You're going to get busted. Now they got things now they can sense if you're high, and it's not worth it. But for the most part, for true Canadians out there, weed's been legal for years. Worst case scenario, you get caught by a cop and, they'll just tell you to put it out. I remember one time I was smoking weed in my beautiful little parkette close to the library, actually connected to the library, which was one of my first jobs. We'll talk about that later on another boring podcast. But I was just smoking one up and, it's during the day, it's a nice day. I'm like, I'm just going to walk through the park, take a shortcut, why not? Then all of a sudden, and the best way I can describe this is if you play Mortal Kombat, that scene with all the trees in the background, and they got the characters like poking out, behind the trees, and you don't really think twice, whatever. But in this case, I thought about a million times because I'm just walking down there, I'm enjoying the high, as we call it, and all of a sudden a cop just pops out of nowhere, and I thought for sure, oh shit, I'm gonna get busted or whatever. I mean, this is when weed wasn't legal yet. And, he's like, hi. I'm just like, I just walk right by him. I go, hi. And I thought in my head, I'm like, is he asking me, am I high? Like, I don't know. But he gave me kind of this like goofy look, like he knew what I was doing, but he just let me go. And I didn't look behind me. until at least like 5 seconds. And then he was still there, but he didn't really care. And that's it. What's he going to do? Write me a ticket for a little joint, for a little puff? I was done at that point. I mean, he doesn't care. The point is just, it's a free-for-all now in Canada, pretty much. You can get weed at these stores and that's it. It's that simple. And these dispensaries in Canada are popping up everywhere. They're turning into the new 7-Eleven, which, by the way, I don't know what the fuck happened to 7-Elevens. I mean, that's one thing I love to have when I'm high. It's just a nice slushy, especially on a warm day, and just enjoy yourself. But yeah, they're fucking disappearing, man. I don't know what's going on. The point is, yeah, they are. It's normal now. You know what I mean? And there's only a certain amount in Toronto. I believe there's maybe 8 dispensaries, but I guarantee you, within the next year or two, it's going to be close to 100, and then years from now, it's just going to be the new norm, and they're going to have weed in McDonald's, and it just everything's going to be very nice and chill. That's all. But the only thing is, I ended up working at a couple dispensaries, and I got to tell you guys, it's not all honey and sugar. No. It's a huge pain in the ass. It really is, especially if you're security. Now, I've worked with some really good people there. I've worked with some really bad people that should be institutionalized. But at the same time, when you work anywhere, you just want a mellow, yellow environment. And you just want to relax, you want to chill. I get it. It's a job. You got to take it seriously. I get it. But at the same time, when a customer comes in, they don't want to feel like they're still doing something illegal, and they just want to go there and have a good experience. I understand that. But at the same time, a lot of these dispensaries just don't know how to treat their employees. And I don't know, maybe this is the good old swan song for the future of dispensaries. Maybe in the future, people will listen to this podcast, for the 3 listeners I have, and they'll just say, you know what? It's true. It's true what he's saying. No, ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't one of those NBC specials from back in the day, the more you know sound effect. That was just my computer alerting me that I have to update my Norton antivirus, which I have no fucking idea how to do. If anybody knows out there, please let me know. I'm just a simple weed smoker. I'm just trying to figure things out on my own. Anyways, so the first one I worked at, you know what? I'll tell you what. We're going to end with that one. We're going to start with the first one. Now, because of the coronavirus going around, everyone is extremely paranoid. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it, okay? People are dying, but at the same time, you got to live your life, okay? All right? Just stop worrying so much. And by the way, I got news for you guys. All these masks and all these hand sanitizer shit, I mean, it does something, but it doesn't do anything. I mean, the whole point of the mask is just so you don't breathe it in, you don't touch your face, whatever. But some of these masks, I mean, they're so cheap. They got the spaces underneath, on the side there. Shit can easily be breathed in easily. Just stop it. Stop it. Just, wear gloves, just, pretend it's still January. Just, that's it. That's all you need, guys. Just relax, okay? You go to downtown Toronto now, Dundas Square, and it's not as busy as it used to be. A lot of things are closed. I just heard yesterday, that apparently all schools are closed, and they're going to be closed for the year. That's it. Why was I not so lucky to miss so much school? I mean, I missed a lot of school, but that's because I skipped and I had to pay for it. Is this fair? Really? I got no hockey, that's done. I got no basketball, that's done. And because I'm Italian, and I was very disappointed 2 years ago when somehow Italy didn't make it into the World Cup, And somehow Egypt made it. Go figure that one. And now, who knows? Maybe that's probably going to be canceled too. You know? It sucks. We're going to have to ride it through. I know I'm getting a little off topic here, but it all relates to one thing. In the end, even if a crisis happens, people still got to eat and people still want to get fucked up. Now, if your thing is booze, that's cool. You know, the LCBO closes, forget it. Expect, I don't know, The Walking Dead. But weed is still around, okay? Most of these shops are pretty much still open. Some of these guys are closing. But the one I ended up working at, apparently, as far as I know, is still open. Now, was I treated fairly there? For the most part, not really. You know, I mean, the people I worked with were absolutely cool. Let me just put that out there. They couldn't have been more nicer to me. I mean, the immediate staff. And that's what you want when you work security. You're going to deal with assholes all the time, especially when you work at bars and clubs. It's just going to be horrible. Absolutely horrible. And then when you ask for a woman's age, you know, they might get offended, or, you know, oh, you didn't card me? Oh, yeah. Like, we get it. We only hear this every fucking 5 minutes, okay? Please stop saying that. And same thing with guys, too, okay? Like, you know, like, we don't want to be your friend. We just want you to show the card and just move on, please. Like we got a job to do. You know, again, we've heard these jokes, you know, yeah, don't you see the gray hairs? we get it, man. You're old, okay? But I got a card to everybody, okay? So that's one of the biggest things I had to do there. Obviously, pretty much the main thing I had to do there was just card people. And because of this coronavirus, everybody is so fucking paranoid. I mean, I had people that wouldn't want to take it out of their wallet. You know, and there's been times where, you know, people will have like a fake piece of paper in there. You don't know what they have. You just want to make sure they got the ID. That's all. You know, you're not trying to cause any shit. I don't care what damage, you know, or if it's sticky for some reason, you know. Again, that's why I wear gloves. That's actually happened to me. And I don't want to know why it's sticky. I don't want to know what you do in your part-time. If you're fucking a jar of honey, Winnie the Pooh style, I don't care. Just show me the card and that's it. So I got to a point where my one boss there, you know, he said, hey, just when people come, they want to show you the card. You don't have to actually physically take it. We don't want you to be in no harm. I'm like, listen, I grew up in Toronto all my life. I'm not saying Toronto's a rough city, but at the same time, a piece of plastic is not going to take me down. So I don't mind grabbing the card. And he says, well, okay, fine. But if the person wants to just show you the card, that's fine too. I'm like, cool, less work for me? Awesome. Great. So that's just fine there. Now, you expect working at a certain place like this, you're going to get at least anywhere between 20 to 25 an hour. You got to think of it. Technically, it's government owned. Sort of. You know, government licensing, all that shit. Cameras everywhere. High def stuff. You got a big staff of people. You got to wear the bulletproof vests. You got to wear a certain shirt. You know, you expect a good salary. You know what I ended up getting? 18 an hour. Now, obviously, that's more than minimum wage. I don't have a college degree in science, but at the same time, I do expect a little bit more. Why? Because, as the Fresh Prince would say, more specifically, Carlton, saying to Will, next time when you take a girl out on a date, she can get something to eat too. And that's all I want, is just for her to be fed and happy. That's all. I'm a very simple guy at heart. I mean, what do I got? I got my place, I got good friends, I got my family, and I got my bell. That's all I need. If I get a good girl on the side, hey, all the power to me. But I do expect a decent salary. Now, my company did say that they were doing a whole month-to-month thing. Now, that's fine, but at the same time, you still have to pay your employees very well. Now, also at this dispensary, Um, the people that work there, I mean, they work their asses off. It's almost like every time you go in there, you expect great service, and you do get that. Every person in there has their own iPad. They know exactly what weed to describe to someone. Also, what would they like? What would help them in their weed of choice if they have a certain condition? They're ready for that. They're trained for that. We're all trained for that. If anything, to work at any dispensary in Canada, you have to go online and fill out this whole stupid questionnaire shit, which I failed the first time, obviously, because I don't know shit about weed. I'm just security. People even ask me when they go in there, do you have this certain brand? Do you know what to do? I'm just security. I have no idea, nor do I care. Just go through the door and ask the first person you see with an iPad. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. That's it. Now, when you do this test, obviously I get it. A bud tender would have to know all these things. Me, I don't. The only two questions this test should consist of is, 1, do you speak English? And 2, do you know how to open a door? That's it. That's all you need to know. That's it. Check an ID. Cool. I don't know about certain strains. I don't know what green train wreck is going to do to you on a Saturday night. I don't give a shit. Just go into the store and ask one of the people. That's it. That's it. That's it. And we all have to pass it. You got to get a certain percentage. And of course, that costs money. That costs about $80. Pretty much the same thing as renewing your license every 2 years. But hey, no problem. I get it. They just want to make sure they have reliable people there. Cool. No criminal record. Nice personality. Check, check. I'm good. So, the first time when I worked at this certain dispensary, it was for one company. Now, obviously, I can't say the name of the company. I don't want to get sued. It's weird in life, though. You find yourself sometimes doing a 180, but then sometimes you end up doing a 360. You end up going in circles. I don't know why I'm saying that. But the point is, I was only there for 3 days with that specific company. And it's very weird because the first day I go in there, everything's good. I see a guard there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to relieve him. Turns out he double booked us. And that was a day where it was technically a holiday in Canada, something to do with family parenting day. I don't know, one of these weird holidays that Canada has. I don't understand this. The point is, I was supposed to work there for 8 hours, get time and a half. But I was only there for 4 hours, and I got time and a half. He trained me. Now, what I mean by training is I stood next to him for 4 hours. I've been doing this for 12 years, guys. I'm not saying I'm the best security guard, but at the same time, there's not much to train. You're working in a space that's basically, let's say, 15 by 10. It's like when you go into a restaurant, there's that little space, and then there's another door, and it hits you with that gust of warm air, from the vent, you know what I'm talking about. And, that's where I was, And they would tell me, oh, well, they want you stationed outside. Are you going to buy me a coat? No. Are you going to give me a shirt? No. So let me get this straight. You expect me to stand outside for 8 hours in the cold with no coat, no toque. Does anybody else see a problem here? I mean, no? Okay. Well, the company wants you outside. Well, the company can kiss my ass. It's not going to happen. Okay, well, you can come inside when you're cold. I'm like, okay, that means I'm going to be inside all the time. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I've said this a lot of times. I'm Canadian, okay? I've endured the cold. I'm a bigger guy. I can take a little bit more of the cold. But at the same time, it gets to a point where it doesn't matter, if it's 0 degrees or minus 10. It gets to a point where you're wearing shoes and you're not wearing, the right thickness of sock. You don't feel your toes after a couple hours. And this was another problem with the people that actually worked there, the bud tenders. They actually wanted someone to go outside and for God only knows how long, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes almost a whole shift. And their job would be to go outside and just yell out the name of the store and just say, now it's open. And that's the only way they can advertise. How sad is that? These people got paid and they got hired to be bud tenders, to stay inside where it's warm, and they're not treated properly. And keep in mind, they're not getting more money for doing this. They're freezing their asses off. For a while, they didn't have coats. They finally got coats after a while. But it's cold outside, guys. It's very weird, this Canadian weather. One day it's minus 10, the next day it's 17. Go fucking figure. But I don't know, maybe Al Gore was sort of right, whatever. But the point is, it's not right to do that. And all they're getting paid is minimum wage. Sometimes they get paid another 15, maybe an extra buck an hour. It's not right, guys. It's not. So if I don't have to do it, why do they have to do it? And like I said, they got paid and they got hired for a certain job. So why all of a sudden when you hire these guys, why do you force them to go outside? I mean, how would you like it if you had to go outside and yell for hours at a time? Now we're open. Like, it's insane. Like, do you really think it brings in that much more business? It really doesn't. I mean, maybe a few people here and there, but it's very cruel to the other people. And I always felt so sorry for the people that had to go out there and get it. Nobody liked doing it. A lot of people didn't even like covering me for my little job there. And that was another thing where the company was just very cheap. For a while, they had a morning shift. Let me explain this, actually. Legally, and I learned this through the test, obviously, the earliest you can open a dispensary in Canada is 9 a.m. The latest you can have it open is 11 p.m. Now, obviously, you can open and close whenever you want, but that's your window. So we used to have an afternoon shift there and a morning shift. Now, morning shift is gone. So now it's just the afternoon shift. So let's say someone starts a shift, which I usually started at 3 o'clock through to 11, get my 8 hours in. Between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., there was somebody there who is doing security. Now, this person does not have a security license. This person is not trained to do security. If something goes down, they're basically fucked. They're not wearing a bulletproof vest. They're not wearing a certain uniform. They don't have any protection. Which, by the way, I just want to add into this. The one company that hired me for only 3 days, I'm going to get into why it was only 3 days with that company, is, it's just really screwed up. They ended up giving me handcuffs and a baton. Now, in Canada, I don't know how it works anywhere else in the world, but you have to have training. You have to go through a certain course to get these things. This company, very disorganized, just gave me all this stuff. They didn't ask me if I was trained for it. And I never brought it to work because, first of all, there's no point because if I use it, I'm going to get in deep shit. Am I going to keep the handcuffs and the baton? Of course I am. Free swag. The point is, I can't legally use it at work. So clearly this company did not do any research. So anyways, going back to the first day there. I was there. He was teaching me there. Cool guy, by the way. Reminded me of Rakim from Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. One of the best albums ever. But anyways, it was pointless, And I even had to say, look, man, you at least got to give me 4 hours here, All right. So the next day I showed up. 8 hours I got. no short of a miracle. Everything went fine. Again, with this company, there was no protection, nothing. They said, we want you to wear this and this and this. I'm like, well, do you have this and this for me? No. Keep in mind, that's another thing how screwed up this company is. They asked me for all the stuff, like, what do you need, whatever. I said this, the shirt, the vest, blah, 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 blah. I just wake up one day and there's a box, not even in front of my door, but in front of the main door of my apartment, and a big box. I mean, so you're thinking, okay, like everything's going to be in here. It's going to be all set for me. You open it up, it's like Christmas Day, for a security guard. You got all this cool shit. Okay, cool. So then I open it. There's like two shirts that are like kind of like, these are two short sleeve shirts and two long sleeve shirts. Like these are shirts that you would wear for a club, like nothing like for winter or like, a condo, like nothing buttoned up. It's just, your plain kind of golf shirt, whatever. I don't know what the hell happened here. And then they gave you, and this is the best part, they gave me two pairs of pants. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've worked many gigs. I've worked, weddings and, clubs and bars and, a couple jobs I can't even talk about. But we'll get into that another time. But these pairs of pants they gave me, this was like some MC Hammer can't touch this shit. This was insane. Like I mean, like the genie from Aladdin wouldn't wear this shit. I mean, I've never seen pants like this. Like they're like bright silver pants, and they're like almost like snow pants, shit that you wear like tobogganing or something. And I told them, the width, I told them the length, and the width, okay, that's fine. The length, I mean, I would have to be, Yao Ming. Like this is like some crazy shit. Like, they were like at least like 16 inches too long. I have no use for these pants. I've never seen pants like this, like ever, and it's just insane. And again, that's it. That's all there was. Well, there was the baton and the handcuffs, obviously, but there was no bulletproof vest. There's no coat. He's like, oh, you didn't get the thing? I'm like, no, I didn't. And, like, what am I supposed to do here? What do you want from me? And then I show up to work. I'm just wearing my normal winter coat, obviously, because it's still fucking freezing out there, I'm just kind of winging it. So then the third day I show up there and, they're like, are you sure you're supposed to be here? I'm like, well, I've been here for the last 2 days. Why not go for number 3? So then the one woman says, she's like, well, are you this person? I'm like, no. I'm like, why? Oh, just curious. So she disappears. She comes back. She asks me, do you have your, weed certificate, whatever? I'm like, yeah, obviously I've been here for, 3 days. I mean, why wouldn't I? And, and then they're like, well, we're expecting another company. I'm like, what do you mean you're expecting another company? It's, guys, it's just, it's so disorganized. I mean, Jesus. So then I call my company and I'm like, guys, what's going on here? They're like, yeah, well, they're switching up. They're changing companies. I'm like, well, was someone going to tell me this before I showed up to the shift? And I end up getting paid for the day. That's fine, whatever. It's just so frustrating. And then, you know what? I'm like, it just lucked out. Like what happened was I ended up seeing the guy who was taking over for our company, because, the dispensary wants to, again, save a couple shekels. And I'm like, you know what, man, just hire me. Like, do you guys need more people? I was like, yeah, just hire me and there you go. So I ended up, in the same day, basically, I ended up losing that job and getting another job with another company for the exact same job, which I don't know what the odds are of that. I mean, putting that in the Vegas slot there. But, I mean, oh God, I'm exhausted just talking about this. But anyways, yeah. So I do that. I'm like, all right, cool. I got another job at the same place. Cool. Okay, whatever. And I'm working there. Everything's fine. They give me a good little shift there. Again, I worked with great people there. I did nothing wrong there. I always showed up on time. Always, I was always one of these friendly guys there, shooting the shit with everybody. Everybody loves me. I'm not saying this to brag, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just a very easygoing guy. Anybody that knows me knows that. I'm an old bullshit kind of person. Just give me the job, tell me what to do, boom, that's it. I'll do it. Didn't hear any complaints. And then all of a sudden, I work there one day, wake up the next day, and I get a text saying, oh, check your email. So I check my email. Oh, we don't need you there anymore. What's the reason? I don't know. Something to do with management. Could be SARS. Could be Corona. Could be mad cow. I don't know. Who knows, guys? Like, who knows? I just have a feeling it's all this shit going on, and some of the other dispensaries closed, and, again, just everything goes to shit. It really does. And it sucks. It really sucks, for the people in there. For me, it's very disorganized. It really is, And I get it. Certain things got to shut down and certain sacrifices got to be lost. But, it's very weird. It really is. Where we're living in strange times now where, certain jobs are not secure because of this virus. And, these dispensaries, obviously they deal with a lot of shit behind the scenes. And, it's just bad. I really pushed for us to get more money, as guards. I pushed for a safer environment. I asked for better clothing, a winter coat, which again, they never gave me. Even the next company never gave me. They never gave me the proper shirt. They never gave me the proper vest. I mean, the two Malakas that run this company are just insane. I mean, they have no idea what they're doing. Oh my God. It's just, it's really scary, Any uncle can just open up a security company and just, hope for the best and, to the lowest bidder, I guess, and it's really frustrating, and I get it, you have to make as much money as you can, but at what price, guys? You got your workers going out there yelling in the street to have people come in, and, the government's really got to get on top of this as well, because someone made a really good point saying, when you go to an LCBO, when you go to a beer store, they don't mirror out the windows or put the designs in front so you can't see through. I mean, it looks like a fucking porn store, And I always thought that was a really bad move as well, because let's say if let's just give a little scenario here. So let's say I'm in that little space there, after the first door, someone gives me their idea. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you very much. Go ahead. That door is closed. Whatever happens in that door, unless I peek in, which they don't like, by the way, but I do it anyway, because for me, I just like to know what's going on in there. I like to know if people are safe. I do a little quick peek in, because you never know. But what if one day that guy comes in, he's got a gun, and he robs the store? Everybody's frozen. Like, maybe someone won't yell or whatever, because I hear people yelling and talking in there all the time. They rob the store, whatever, or that person robs the store, whatever. And the irony is, as soon as he robs the store, like, he could have everyone in the back there, like, tied up, who the fuck knows. He could come out like nothing happened and just go, oh, good day to you, security. Oh, good day to you, customer. And just walk right out. And unless I see something in there, that's it. That's how easy some of these places can get robbed, And I already heard a story in one of the Peterborough stores got robbed there, and, it's probably going to happen again. I mean, I'm not saying that store, but somewhere, It's going to happen. And these guys are not well protected. Somebody should also be in the store as well, if you're going to have these things, the windows blocked off, whatever, like something bad is going to happen. I'm telling these guys that, straight up. And I told them there too. I'm like, this is not, it's just not well organized. And a lot of it is not their fault because it has to be like through the government and all the shit they got to go through there. For now, this is the way it has to be, and it sucks, but it is what it is. I'm sure it's going to change over the years. I mean, technically, you can't even say, weed in front of your store or any, word pertaining to marijuana or something. You can't even have like a symbol. And at one point, they wanted to have stickers with weed, and you can't do that because it's a symbol and blah, 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 blah. Technically, you're promoting it. And, I even had an idea where you could, when you go in front of a corner store or whatever, and you see like they always have those lights on the sidewalk, whatever. Why don't you put like a weed symbol or something like, Batman does with the bat signal? And then I was like, oh yeah, shit, you can't do that because then you're promoting it, and then, so it's all these weird little fucking rules. And that's why these people have to go outside in the cold and make minimum wage and, oh, now open, it sucks, man. I mean, I feel for these people. Like, I really do. It sucks, but at the same time, I get you got to follow the rules and such, but, do you really have to take it out on people like me and, not have certain people work there, not so many hours because, you want to save money. And in the end, do you not care about your workers? They go out there in the freezing cold and, these people have to keep coming in and out just to stay warm, and they're hired for a certain job. And it's really, it's sad. Like, it really is sad. So, at this one store, you're getting weed, but yeah, it's the people that work there are, they're paying for it. We're all suffering because of it, because they got to make extra money. So that really sucks. If something isn't done in the next year, then these places are just going to go up in smoke. That's a metaphor, isn't it? No? Huh. Anyways, that's nothing. I mean, nothing compared to the second store and all its problems I had to deal with. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to begin by saying this. I'm half Greek, half Italian. One thing in life that I could never understand, are certain stereotypes. Okay? I was a concierge at mostly a Jewish residence building. And, there's always that bad, stereotype that Jewish people are cheap. Now, let me tell you something. I worked there for years. That couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, I once had a guy there literally throw me $50. Okay, that's how nice these people were, giving me food, candy, all this stuff. I mean, these people were awesome. Now, I can say this because I'm Greek. That nationality, the Greek people, are by far some of the cheapest people in the world, and they will take any shortcut they can. Okay, it pains me to say that a little bit, but I've held it in for too many years, and something has to be said about this. Okay, I've always said this jokingly, but in many ways this is the truth. I've always said that Greek people will get the job done, but we take a lot of shortcuts. Italian people will always get the job done, but we take a lot of smoke breaks. Both statements are true. I'm not apologizing for anything because it's true. I've lived it. And after working at this pretty much Greek-owned store, it's true. It really is true. Now let me explain. First off, when I heard that they were going to open this dispensary, I was like, hey, I'm in. Why not? It's close to home. I got nothing to lose. I got the experience. Let's take a shot. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. Who cares? Whatever. I get the next job. Okay? Also, the sad thing is about the security guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. If you speak English, you'll always have a job in security. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, I don't give a shit how bad that sounds. It's just the way it is. Okay, my mom was an English teacher, so I'm gonna be just fine. Do I speak the best English? No. Do I know my head from my asshole? Absolutely. Now, I say that to say this. I'm like, okay, how do I get in? So again, you gotta take the test. That's fine. You know, they didn't tell me specifically what test I had to take. I had to learn everything on my own here. These guys did not help me at all. Okay, these guys are so lost, you have no idea. But we're gonna get into that in a little bit. So I'm there, and I'm like, okay, what test? You know, so I find that online. You gotta do this whole test. Like I said before, all these questions are pointless. Again, you know, all I gotta know is English, open door. That's it. That's it. But they ask you all these other questions, you know, is this legal? What kind of resolution does the camera have to be? I'm not working the fucking camera. I don't give a shit. It's not my store. Ask them. I don't care. I don't care. So once I do that test, we're all good. Then I have to have a criminal background check, which is something I don't understand because I've had a security license for over 12 years. You have to renew it every 2 years. If you have a criminal record, you can't get a security license. So I don't understand why I got to go through this process. I tried to get it through my other companies. They couldn't do it. Some of these guys wanted to charge me, which I couldn't believe. Actually, well, yeah, in this society, I can't believe it. But anyways, so they tell me it's going to take 2 weeks. You have to go all the way downtown. You got to fill it out in person. And you wait 2 weeks. I even told the lady, I'm like, listen, you can't just send it through email. You can't do it online. And she just laughed. She goes, oh, no, we're not there yet. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's only 2020, right? Have you heard of the internet? Now, I'm waiting for 2 weeks. Nothing. I call back. What's going on here? Oh, congratulations, it went through. I'm like, yeah, no shit. How come I don't have it yet? He's like, well, now that we have to send it out. I'm like, well, you told me in 2 weeks I was going to get it. No. Yes. No. Now I have to wait another week. So 3 weeks. So, which basically ended up fucking me in the ass. Because originally when they hired me at this one company, they wanted me for at least 30 hours. Which, by the way, they couldn't even say in the interview. I mean, the one woman was very twitchy and I don't know, like, again, I don't want to have a bad stereotype, but, you know, have you ever met someone with like really dried out, puffy hair? You know, they always seem a little bit off. No, I like for some reason, like again, I don't have much on top anymore. Okay, so you can rip on that. I get it, but you know, you see someone with that kind of like you know, bird nest hair. You know, kind of like the one character. Remember in South Park? You know, the bus driver that had the bird in her hair. You know, it's just it's a little off. But anyways, she wasn't even sure how many hours they could guarantee me. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, you know, probably get, 30. I'm like, well, like, what's probably, you know? But she's one of these women, like, you know, if you challenge her on something, she'll just, like, freak out or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I don't need this, you know, because like I said before, hashtag me too, hashtag not me. So, and I stand by that. Now, I'm like, okay, you know, this sucks because in those 3 weeks, they obviously had to hire more people, and they did. So when I went there, I only worked there for, let's say, 3-4 weeks. I mean, the most I ever got in 1 week was maybe 14, 15 hours. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, again, I live in Canada. You know, for the most part, you do have to work a certain amount of hours to just make it by. I mean, there's one-bedroom apartments in Toronto that are like anywhere between, let's say, 13 to 1,500. Who knows? Okay, you know, I'm lucky where I live. You know, I got a good rent, whatever. But still, you know, you want to get as many hours as you want, and you want to get at least 40 hours to make a decent living. You know, you hope for that, but in this case, they did not understand that. And I told her, I said, okay, so okay, so I'm only getting 14, 15 hours a week. And the pay was 19 an hour. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, I'm only making minimum wage, you shouldn't complain. I'm like, you know what? I've been doing this for over 12 years. It's a high-end shop. I should absolutely be getting at least like 20 to 22. But again, Greeks, you guys, I'm telling you, you know, it's like when you go to a Greek bar. Like next time, go to a Greek restaurant or whatever. Order a vodka OJ. I guarantee you the OJ will not be Tropicana. Okay, it's going to be my compliments. Okay, not dissing on my compliments. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Shortcuts. Now, they should have paid me more. They should have paid all of us more. Okay, but this place was very loosey-goosey. Okay, what I mean by that is, it basically showed up in what you wore. And yeah, like even the people inside, like they just wore casual stuff. The only thing they had to wear was an apron. I mean, like I didn't see anybody bake any bread there. Like I don't know why the fuck are they? You're selling weed and you're wearing an apron? Really? It's just, yeah, okay. Again, shortcuts, and they weren't even good aprons. Okay. I've seen napkins that are thicker. But anyways, yeah. So I show up there in like my plain street clothes, which I always thought was kind of weird because I'm just used to dressing up in a uniform or a suit, whatever. You know, you want to present yourself in a very serious manner. You know, I know I'm joking around, but at the same time, yeah. You know, you show up to a job. You know, you want to. You know, I'm going to be the first person that people see when they come in there. So do you not want to dress professionally? You know what I mean? And they're like, just dress anyway. I'm like, well, all right. I mean, you know, okay, all right, you know, peace, hippie. And yeah, it's just, all right. So as I'm working there, okay, now for the most part, again, they want you outside. So I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. Again, no uniform. You're not giving me a coat. You're not giving me any hats or nothing like that. No gloves, nothing, but yet you expect me to stand 8 hours in the cold, okay? And this company was even more strict. They were like, you can't even move when you're outside. You know, I remember hearing someone in the background saying, "Oh, tell him he can't walk around. You know, it's not like a moat and a drawbridge." You know, I'm like, what? Like, okay, so you expect me to stand there in the cold? You know, like Buckingham Palace for 8 hours. I'm gonna cramp up. It's gonna be cold. I mean, you can't do that. Like it's, you know, come on, guys, Malakias. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, but and here's the irony, guys. So again, there's that, you know, space between the two doors, whatever, right? And in that space, there's an actual stool. And it was a comfortable stool. You know, none of these really cheap wooden ones, whatever. It had the nice padding, whatever, the metal, whatever. You know, and then, you know, they told me, they said, well, you can sit there if you want, but it's only there for you to sit for, you know, like a couple seconds. And then you got to get up and go outside. So you're basically telling me that, you're basically teasing me at this point. So you're basically saying that there's a chair there, but I'm not allowed to sit down, you know, and customers aren't allowed to sit down on there either. No, okay, okay, all right. Let me put it easier for you guys. Basically, like, put a bowl of pasta in front of me and tell me not to eat it. You know, like, is that realistic? Really? You know, so it really made no sense whatsoever. So, you know, despite these guys, I told them, I said, it's too cold, okay? I'm not, you know, guarding Mr. Burns' mansion here, you know. You know, I mean, this is this is just insane. Like, I don't understand why you can't just, like, you know, like, just stand up, walk around a little bit, and that's it. I mean, you guys are making, like, way too big a deal out of this. So, but again, the windows are covered up again, and I don't know, these guys set themselves up for a target. And if you ever check out this place, I mean, this place, ooh, fuck, you think the first one can be robbed easily? Holy shit, this one can be robbed in like 2 seconds. I mean, they could disappear in a neighborhood, and I don't know, no one's guarding the back door, and it's just a fucking disaster too. I mean, fuck, these guys are just setting themselves up too. But hey, you know what? Ain't my company. I don't give a fuck. So, told them all this. Again, they don't listen. And again, classic Greek mentality. When they hire security, at one point they asked me to clean up after my shift, and I'm like, what? I'm not. What? I'm like, guys, I went into security, so I don't have to fucking clean up. So, they're like, oh yeah. You help the people sweep up and clean up after. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. Are you crazy? Of course I just ignored it, and I just went home after my shift, because that's what you do. So like I said, like when you work with Greek people, you gotta watch out for these, shortcuts. It's really bad. I mean, they'll hire you like to be a waiter, but they'll expect you to, be the dishwasher, and expect you to wax the floor and, clean the person's car. And it's all. I'm not saying this happened to me. I'm just saying that's what happens. So, they try to squeeze every little penny out of you. So, again, they put me on certain days, basically 2 days a week, and I told them, don't put me on Sundays. That's the Lord's day. I just want to relax on Sunday. I don't want to do anything. What do? They put me on 3 fucking Sundays straight. Okay? They're very good listeners over there. And even during some of the other shifts during the week, like they give you a random shift, I'm like, please don't put me in mornings. What do? They put me in mornings, And then the last week I was there, instead of giving me a simple 8-hour shift, they give me 2 4-hour shifts and then a 6-hour shift on a Sunday. And I'm like, guys, there's no organization here. I'm like, guys, like, what's going on here? How come you can't just group them all into one thing? It's like, well, it's not fair to the other people. I'm like, keep in mind, the other people are getting 30 hours a week. I'm getting, bupkis here. I don't understand. How is this not fair to them? And it's just insane. Like, it really is, And again, I'm just telling them, look, you got to do something about this. So then I tried to talk to the owner there, and she, how can I put this? I'm not saying she's on something, I'm maybe she's smoking too much of her product. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think she's on some kind of medication. Because she's always seems kind of like loopy. You know what I mean? Like, one of these people where, it's almost like every time she's talking and moving, she's dancing, to some made up music in her head, And it didn't seem like she took anything really seriously, and she let the other person she put in charge, do most of the work, which, just always pretty lazy if you ask me. I mean, you should take charge of your own company. But I told her about all these problems, like, the back door being exposed, and the parking lot not being a good situation there, because people didn't even know where to like park, and people were like, can I park in the back? And again, I get an answer from management saying like, well, they can park in the back, but don't tell them to park in the back. I'm like, what the fuck kind of answer is that? And I don't know, just in one ear, out the other, and, I'm just giving this advice, I'm not getting paid extra for this, but I've been doing this for 12 years, guys, like, I know what I'm talking about, I know, like, weak spots and shit, I even look at stuff like this before I even start working there, to know if I'm going to work in a safe environment, because I do care about other people's safety, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking after me first, okay? So, because I got to know if I'm going to be safe or not. Because someone told me years ago in security, and I always remember this, they always say, if you don't feel safe working somewhere, get the fuck out. And I always remember that. So, they didn't want to listen. They were more concerned about, their profit margin, I guess. And, That was another thing too. Like I had to keep track of how many people went into the store, and it wasn't because of store limit or anything. I mean, I think the store limit was like maybe 20, give or take, with the staff. It's not a very big store. It doesn't even look that good inside. I mean, you can at least afford to get a real tree. But anyways, yeah, it's just really, I mean, this isn't my job. I mean, if I was doing a bar or club, okay, maybe, but so I'm supposed to keep track of how many people come in the store so you can keep track of your profit margins. Like, you guys can't do that yourselves. Like, I mean, really, like, how lazy is that? So, yeah. And then they told me at one point, certain people had to line up in a certain way, and I'm like, well, if I'm outside or in between the space, how am I supposed to keep an eye on this? So you want me to come from out the store, which I'm not supposed to leave, by the way, then go back into the middle, which I'm not supposed to be there, then go into the store, which I'm not supposed to be there anyway. I just, nothing made sense with these people. Like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And again, I felt sorry for a lot of the people that work there. Again, only making minimum wage. I heard, again, some of the people made 15, but I don't know, who knows? Maybe they like this person more than this person. They get a little bit more. I don't know. It's not my business. But, again, I was just concerned about how much I was making. I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, I mean, these guys do a lot more work than I do. And, yeah, they're getting paid dick all, And, yeah, it's just really sad. I mean, I honestly, I understand how someone can run a store and like just not pay their employees, a proper amount. Again, this is where the Greek cheapness comes in. I've worked for many of my people. Yeah, squeeze every penny. I'm telling you, it just, yeah, not real lemon juice in the tzatziki. I'm just saying, these are little things. These are little things that, you see. And, again, I'm just saying, if I ever ran a company, I would want all my employees to get the proper wages. It's just sad. Like, it's very sad. And it's just, shame on the people that, own that company and just own the store and just, do not pay their employees, the proper amount. And by the way, at both stores, I was told that they do get discounts on the weed. And yeah, it's 15%. Wow. Oh, wow. Let the good times roll, eh? Jeez. Oh, wow. Way to go above and beyond, guys. 15%. Wow, that's not a slap in the face, eh? Jeez. Holy cow. I don't know, most places I've worked, bars, clubs and stuff, I don't know, I get 50% off the food and, free drinks when I'm there. And yeah, you guys can't even provide bottles of water for your staff, eh? Yeah, way to go. Jeez. Oh, God, there's not even like a proper kitchen there. So the kitchen there is like, it's not even a kitchen. Like, they have a table next to like the main person's desk there, and they have like a microwave there, and like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing there. There's no privacy either. So it's like, if you want to, like, you go to a proper, rest area, cafeteria, whatever, it's its own separate space. It's huge, whatever. This one, nothing. Absolutely nothing. They don't give two shits about their employees there. Absolutely not. I mean, there's just nothing. Oh, and here's the topper, guys. If you want to take a break with this company or take a lunch break, guess what? It's on your dime. That's right. If you work there for 4 hours and if you want to take a break, it's out on you. So you have to clock in, you got to clock out for your lunch. Wow. So not only do I get a shitty shift of 4 hours, but if I want to take a break, 15 minutes or a half hour, I have to sign out. So really, I'm only getting paid 3.5 hours. Is it really worth coming in for a 3.5 hour shift? I mean, really? I get it. Like, I've done security jobs where I've gotten paid pretty well, for like a 4 hour thing, whatever, but it's a major gig. It's, whatever, formal shit, whatever. But this is just nothing. This is like working at like fucking McDonald's or something. You know what I mean? You're getting paid dick all, and You know, you still got to sign up for your really got like again the cheapness. It is insane how they treat their employees. Like it is just, whew, oh Madonna. I mean, it is holy cow. You know, and the bathroom. Oh my god. Holy cow! That is like everything. Like again, the you know my people. This is not a good look, guys. Like it seems like every room in there is a combination of two rooms. You know, like the washroom is a combination of the storage room. The office room is a combination of the cafeteria. You know, like nothing is spaced out. Nothing. You know, so clearly these guys don't give two flying fucks about their employees. They really don't. All it is just about, you know, just making money. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's so sad, you know. I'll tell you what the most saddest thing I've seen when I was there, and this is reminiscent to when I worked in another restaurant back in the day, which I cannot say the name, but it's a popular chicken place in good old Canada. Swiss Beats is a great producer. That might give you a clue. But anyways, yeah, I went in the back one day. I was on break. And I'm just going through the doors there, you know, which, by the way, I mean, the security system there is absolutely horrible. Because if you go in there, in the back wall, like how these dispensaries work basically is there's one guy or girl, whatever, like in the one room where all the weed is, right? Keep in mind, no one's guarding that room. It's just this, you know, one person, you know, just, you know, was able to pass the test and they're just there, you know, passing out the weed. So it gets through this wall, you know, gets fed through this wall. You know, so you make the order and there you go. That's how it works, you know, just this little hole, which is not really well secured. At the other store I mentioned before, it's way more secure. I mean, this one, again, it's just, you know, you give a Greek bricks and, you know, they will build something. Will it be the best? I don't know. I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, the Horio, you know, which is the village back in the day. But, you know, anyways. So they have this like kind of wood wall, and it's one of these doors where it's blended into the wood wall, you know? It's like that stupid kitchen shit, you know, where like the fridge is built in, you know, with like the shelves and it's all blended in, which by the way, I fucking hate, by the way, okay? If you have a kitchen, that fridge should stand out like a sore thumb, okay? I've never liked these wood panel fridges. It's fucking stupid. But anyways, so again, that door is never locked. Okay, I got news for you. You know, so again, easy target there. Now there is a door there, you know, that has a certain combination. Obviously, you got to figure that shit out for yourself. You know, but at the same time, you know, it's not exactly like Fort Knox. You know, so yeah, again, this place is not organized at all. Yeah, it's pretty shit. Yeah. So, anyways, like I was saying, I'm back there, and I see something that like I said, I saw at a restaurant back in the day. They dropped their product on the floor and they sold it. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. You know what? I've seen this at the restaurant, like I said before. I've seen it at other places as well. It's pretty horrific. I mean, again, you think, you know, it's like that, I mean, you know, like that Seinfeld episode, remember, you know, you don't see Poppy wash his hands and, you know, and especially today, what's going on, you know, in the world today, like everyone's just, you know, washing their hands until they, you know, see the bone. And I saw this and I was like, holy shit, like this is fucking crazy. And like your jaw just like hits the floor. You know, when Ray Romano saw the woman eat the fly, you know, you're just frozen. You know, you're like, there's no fucking way they're going to sell that again, right? I mean, yeah, man. So, yeah, beware, man. Yeah, your marijuana could be tainted in more ways than one. So, yeah, it's pretty disgusting, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, it's... Damn. I mean, it's It's crazy, man. I mean, like I said, like all these guys care about is just putting out a profit out there, and that's it. I mean, it's sad, man. Like it's really, really sad. And yeah, yeah, I didn't smoke weed for a while after that one. But anyways, so I ended up losing this job. Well, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I'm not gonna say I got a superpower or nothing, but you know, sometimes you get that spidey sense, you know, and you know something is gonna go wrong, and a lot of times I do see things, you know, that are gonna happen ahead, and I just knew as soon as this incident happened, you know, in the beginning of the shift, I just knew things were gonna go bad, and you know, so what I usually do is I just have like my bag, you know, I got you know, some food in there, some water, you know, because you know, I'm not even gonna lie to you. For the was it 2 or 3 shifts I was there for Sundays for 6 hours, I never took a break. Now I believe that's against the law, you know, but I don't know. They didn't seem to give a shit. But you know, but in the end, I was like, you know what? There's no point taking a break. I mean, there really isn't, because you know I'm gonna lose a half hour. I'm only here for 6 hours. I mean, like, what's the point? I'm gonna, you know, it sucks. And the one guy there that worked Sunday, he's a nice guy, but I don't know, he didn't know what to fucking do, and he's like, oh, yeah, you know what, take one, it's fine, I get it for you, yeah, okay. You know, so it's a real scramble there, but yeah, so I go into that shift, you know, which keep in mind is only, I think like 4 hours or something, yeah, which is, you know, really rewarding. You know, so, and then I go in there, I'm just signing in, and, you know, she's like, you know, giving me shit already. Like, I mean, you know, I barely put my foot in the door there. You know, she's like, well, I prefer if you leave your bag, like, inside. I'm like, well, I got my stuff in here. I got my water and, you know, my food and all this stuff. And, you know, and they're like, well, you know, it's just better if you leave it in there. I'm like, I always left it here before. What's the big deal now, you know? And she's getting all mad and shit. And she's, you know, frightening the staff there, you know, like she always does. We'll get into that in a little bit. And, you know, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll leave my bag back there, which, by the way, ends up being a problem later. Again, I will get to that later. So then, again, you know, she's just, you know, she was very mad during the whole shift, you know, and she's like, oh, you can't leave your post. I'm like, yeah, I know. This is like my, you know, whatever, 5th, 6th shift. Like, I know what's going on. And she was just like, she was very mad, very irritable, and, you know, the dry hair was very distracting. And it just, you know, I'm like, what's going on here? You know, I mean, I'm in the fucking twilight zone here with this and Corona and Jesus. So I'm like, all right, you know, just try to stay out of her way, and she'll leave me alone. And you know, I go in and outside, you know, because it's cold, and I'm a human being, and I like to feel my feet. And I go outside, you know, I have a smoke on the side like I always do, you know, I can still card people, whatever, and then she comes out, and keep in mind it's like my second cigarette of the shift, you know, because, you know, she's, you know, going nuts, and, you know, she comes outside, and she's like, oh, what are you doing? You know, I'm like, I don't know, I'm curing cancer, what the fuck, you know, does it look like I'm doing? You know, she's like, oh, you can't smoke here. No. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like, yeah, like you disappeared for 20 minutes to go to fucking A&W there and get a burger and leave your staff early in the morning there. Yeah, no one says anything about that, right? You know, so, you know, I can't have a cigarette outside while I'm carting people. You know, she's like, we don't do that here. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You guys don't do a lot here, but, you know, I don't complain. But anyways, yeah. Which, by the way, I mean, you know, if you remember that scene in Jay and Silent Bob where they're talking about, you know, women eating fast food and all that, and, you know, it's, let me tell you something, it's true, because a couple hours later, I went to the bathroom just after her, and, oh, Madonna Mia, I mean, Jesus, notorious. Again, for people out there that own their own company, please make sure you have something in the bathroom. Like, I don't give a fuck if you have like a pack of matches. I mean, there's got to be something to put out that fire. You know what I mean? Because like, it sucks when you come, you know, in there after, you know, and someone takes a shit, you know, and like you might get blamed for it because someone else is waiting for you. And, you know, I talked about this during my shit podcast. I don't got to tell you guys again, but, you know, just have something in there, you know, maybe a scented candle, cream soda, George Costanza, whatever. So she's giving me shit about the bag. She's giving me shit about the smoking. Ba, 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 ba. Holy fuck, it never ends with her. I see her yelling at another staff member. Oh my God, she's just, she's going nuts. So everything's going good. It's a good little shift there. And then, two people come in. Okay, now let me set the picture here. Okay, one of them is this older black gentleman. Okay, you can tell he's older. He's got gray hair. Probably in his 40s, 50s, whatever. Now, this is something I should have mentioned before, but this has always been my thing. Now, when you do security and you card people, okay, when you card people, okay, if you're a company, you tell the security guy to card people, you have to tell them they have to card everybody. You can't just, be biased and just say, oh, this person looks old enough, oh, he has gray hairs, whatever. Either you card everyone or you card no one. Now, I'm the type of person, I card everybody, okay? It's just the best way to do this. And I told him, I said, that's how I'm going to do it. That's how it is. And I finally got it through their heads. They said, okay, fine, you do that. Cool. And it was cool for a little while. And then they came up to me and they said, you know what, from now on, if you see someone who's older, just let them in. Now, I honestly don't think this is a good idea, because in the end, it's going to cause a problem. Because somebody could say later, oh, why didn't you card that person, but you're carding me? Oh, do you not think I'm old enough? Like, it's just going to start a bunch of shit. And I knew it was going to be a problem. And today, surprise, surprise, it was a problem. So like I said, this person comes in, older, and they're right behind him. There's, maybe a younger person, whatever, maybe, 20s, 30s, who knows? Again, I don't know, because I'm not carding him. So then the older person, I didn't card because he looked older. They even told me, they said, if you see gray hair, just let him in. I'm like, okay, whatever. I let him in, just going by their rules. And then the other person comes by and he just quickly shows the card. I don't see it. Now he looks like a younger guy. And, I'm like, well, hold on. I need to see your card. And this guy just starts flipping out. I mean, really just flipping out. Swearing at me, saying, oh, why didn't you card the other guy? Like, he completely flips out. He goes into the store and, I got to make sure this guy doesn't go nuts in there. So I go in after him, just try to calm him down, and he's just flipping out, whatever. Management's taking forever to get out here. I told him, so somebody get somebody. All the people there are just frozen for some reason behind the desk. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird generation where, unless they're in front of a computer screen, they don't actually react to something. But, I go, guys, this is called reality. Can you do me a favor and get me, the supervisor? And again, they're not doing it, so I'm like, fine, I got to do it, So then I go back there, and I'm like, guys, you got to come out here. We got a situation out here. This guy's flipping out, whatever, And I'm like, this guy has to leave the store. He's, swearing in front of people, scaring people, whatever. And, I go back to my thing there. They're handling it, whatever. Again, I don't see what's going on. I don't hear anything because of the glass, and, you can't see through the, the beautiful green and gray taupe. And, yeah, you're like, okay, so they're probably going to handle this, and, the guy will get kicked out, whatever. And, and then at one point, they just keep talking to the guy, and the guy's still yelling. And then, they calm him down by serving him. Now, this, I was just, again, blown away. I don't know what more I was blown away by, them serving the weed that was on the floor, or this. I mean, you're basically saying that anybody can go into this store, cause a scene, swear at the staff, make a huge commotion, and you can still get served. And then at one point they were laughing, and I'm like, what, guys, what is going on here? And then as this is going on, the older guy who went in before this guy, he leaves, and he even looked at me and he said, man, this is crazy. And I go, I know, I don't believe this either. And he goes, this has nothing to do with racism. This is ageism. And he said that. And I'm like, man, thank you for understanding, and I'm sorry about this. He's like, no worries, it happens. So he leaves. Then the other guy, leaves again. And as he's leaving, he still swears at me. you know. And I just still say, have a good day, sir, and and I couldn't believe they served the guy. I mean, the guy should have been thrown out in like 2 seconds, but but again, this is how cheap my people are. We do not care. We're just concerned about the money like that. Like really, we're putting people, like in danger of this guy just for money, just for what, a couple bucks? I mean, this is insane, like it really was surreal. And like even the one guy, like he served them at the desk, like he went out to break or whatever, and like I go, like, you guys ended up serving him, and he didn't even say anything. He just shrugs his shoulders, and he just says, well, what am I gonna do? And he just walked away, like he was extremely defeated. And because I know before, like, he was getting yelled at by the manager or whatever, and it just, I mean, these guys, like, just really, I guess some people just get off on, like, being abused, I guess. Maybe they're just so used to it, they just, it just becomes part of their normal life. But, I mean, is it right? Like, damn, this is crazy, man. So, it's like the end of the shift, whatever. I want to go home, and I do. And, well, eventually I do. But here's what happened before. So, the one woman's like, oh, you have to wait. I'm like, what do you mean I have to wait? Like, it's time for me to go. It's like, well, I have to get my bag. It's like, well, you're going to have to wait. I'm like, well, how long do I have to wait? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, fuck this. I go get my bag, and I go in the bag and bag. Now, if I had my bag in the front, I wouldn't have this problem, would I? Wow. So, I'm in the back there, and as soon as I go back there, I'm getting my bag, and she's like, what are you doing here? She starts freaking out again. I'm just getting my bag. She's like, oh, you were told not to think. I'm like, I don't care. I got to get my bag. I'm going home. I'm not getting paid for this. She's like, oh, it's disrespectful. I'm like, no, it's disrespectful that you don't let me get my fucking shit, and I can go home. That's what's disrespectful. It's also disrespectful of you yelling at this poor little woman here, which, by the way, she was, or some woman. That's why I couldn't go back there, or whatever. I still went there, obviously, but she was yelling at this other employee there, this this little woman there, and like just swearing at her and doing a whole bunch of shit there and talking down to her. And I'm like, I'm like, what's going on here? Like she's just on a mad tear today. She's like, oh, I want to speak to you before you go. I'm like, yeah, I got a couple words to say to you too. So, round one, fight. So, the one lady there, that was in the meeting there, I mean, she leaves all disheveled, she's, again, the whole staff is just used to her abusing them. It's really just, for 14 an hour. So I'm back there, and we're about to go head to head here, and she goes, yeah, so you want to talk to me what happened there? And I go, yeah, sure, and she's like, well, I don't like the way you handled it, and she's showing me video, and get this, she's showing me video of myself, which, by the way, I like you see yourself in the mirror every day, and you get an idea of what you look like in the mirror, and then you see yourself on video, and if like again, I think I've said this before, but if Vince Vaughn, Jack Black, and Kevin James had a kid, and you sprinkle a little curly in there, like it's just there, man, and I was like, yeah, I could lose maybe 5-10 pounds, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the situation. So she shows me like me leaving, following the guy into the store so I can, talk to him and, protect the store if this guy goes nuts. She's concerned about the one guy that comes in the door who's clearly of age and like coming after. He's like, well, yeah, you left your post, or now you're not guarding the door. I'm like, what do you think is more important at this point? People coming in the store or this guy going nuts in the store? Like, I mean, I tell her, I'm like, listen, your priorities are insane. Like, you talk down to people. You talk down to this poor woman that just left the office here. You talk down to me. You've been breaking my balls all day about the bag and smoking and whatever, Like, what about you? Like, where are your priorities? She's like, excuse me, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, well, you have to, like not leave your post and, like we're missing each other. And then she kept repeating my name over and over and over again, which I assume at this point she's got like some kind of Tourette's, I guess. And she's just like, I kept making all these points, like these really valuable points, about your company. And she just kept repeating my name over. And like at one point, I think she repeated it like 8 times or something. And I'm like, listen, I know my name, but we're here to talk about you and your problem. And then at one point, I swear to God, she's looking at me, with her, fakata hair. And, like her eye starts twitching. It's twitching like a motherfucker. Like, and I'm like, and at one point I almost laughed. I'd like hold it in like, and I'm like, dude, what's wrong with your eye? And that really pissed her off. It's twitching like a mile a minute. Like, it's fucking crazy. And I'm just like, yeah, like this is insane working here, and she's like, well, you know what? I don't think I'm getting treated fairly here. I need a witness. And then I'm like, a witness? Like, well, this is a fucking Law and Order? Like, so then she's like, you wait here. I'm gonna go get somebody because I need a witness. I'm like, okay. I'm really trying not to laugh at this point. Like, I mean, she just, I don't know. Like, listen, again, I don't mean to make fun of people or nothing. I mean, if you got an illness, whatever, I get it, but don't take it out on me. It's clear like something happened to this woman in her life, that made her this fucked up, and I get it, I mean, listen, women haven't been, the best to me either, but I don't hate them, so don't hate on guys, just because we're, we're guys, so hashtag me too, hashtag not me. Now, she gets her witness, so all of a sudden, I'm like fucking Perry Mason in this motherfucker. And, she's sitting there, like, she has no idea what's going on here. I mean, me and her have got something in common. So, she's like, okay, do you understand that you left your post? And I'm like, yes, I do, but I was dealing with a situation. And then again, she cuts me off. She just keeps repeating my name over and over and over again. Like, I don't know. It's like, she definitely had a problem with, someone, in the past. I don't know what happened. Maybe she's not used to people challenging her, because it seems like everyone just kisses her ass there, and believe me, if, they went into the bathroom afterwards, they wouldn't be. But anyways, so I'm like, all right, let's just settle this like adults here, okay? It's clear this is not working out, okay? And I would like to talk to the owner, but she wouldn't let me talk to the owner. She says she's very busy. Apparently she's opening up another store with, all the money she's saved, I guess, from her employees and, dropping weed on the floor. And it's just like, well, so when can I reach her? She's like, well, she'll come in contact with you. And I'm like, all right. Keep in mind actually, I forgot to mention this too. Keep in mind during the shift, like I've been there for how many shifts? Like maybe 5, 6, whatever. She gave me like a pad and a pen, and she told me I have to write down my name, my address, and my SIN card. And I'm like, this is all on my paperwork. Why are you doing this now during the shift? And like people are coming in, I'm seeing IDs, whatever, and she's just standing there like staring at me, like I'm a A&W burger, and God, I feel sorry for that bathroom. And I'm just like, yeah, this is like insane. This is absolutely insane. Like how do you not have my information before? So I don't know. Like she must have had like a really bad day or week or something, and she's just like lashing out on everybody. And I just told her, I said, look, you're being extremely condescending. You're not hearing what I'm saying. Oh, and by the way, her witness is in the background there. She's like stunned. Like she has no idea what's going on, And then at one point, I say all my thing, and then she just looks at her witness, and she goes, do you want to weigh in here? And like, even she's like frozen. She's got no idea what's doing. Like, I mean, she's got to look in her face like, listen, I don't know why you brought me in here. I don't want to be a part of this shit. Like, I mean, she's so lost, man. So it's clear that like she's never been challenged before, and I called her out on all her shit, and she's pissed off and whatever. And in my head, I'm thinking like, you know what? I don't give a shit about this job. I don't care. Like, I just want to get the fuck out of here and go home. And yeah, and that's what basically ended up happening. I said, look, I can't do this anymore. She's like, fine, I don't want you to work here anymore. I'm like, I just said that. And she's like, I know. And then again, she kept repeating my name over and over again. It was like fucking Destiny's Child in the 90s. Like, say my name, say my name. And I was like, what the fuck is, like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I can't believe this. So, so two things I'm very thankful for, like, is one, I don't work there anymore. And two, I had nothing to do with that bathroom. The point is, it's just, it was very surreal. And, sorry, I just keep picturing her eye like twitching. And like at one point in my head, I got this image of like a pirate, like, arr, and like, oh gosh, she's fucking nuts. Oh man, but it was crazy, man. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. So yeah. So would I recommend working at dispensaries? Survey says no. I don't. I really don't. But who knows? Maybe I just had two, bad experiences at the shitty dispensaries. The first one I mentioned there, all that, and the last one I just mentioned here with all the shit I had to put up with, and the big fight I had with Twitchell's, and the important thing is, when you build a building, you have to have like a certain canvas to really structure it properly. You know what I mean? And you got to make sure the canvases are just strong. The canvas itself has to be very well built, or else the whole place will just fall apart. I mean, I'm Italian, that's why I'm just talking about construction. The point is, maybe not all these places are horrible. There's one downtown that's very popular, right at Dundas Square. Basically, Toronto's version of Times Square. And it's awesome. But again, as far as I know, it's shut down for now because of the coronavirus. So, again, these last couple podcasts, I've mentioned the coronavirus. And it's important that we're all aware of it, but let's just not freak out. But my main concern with this podcast is just these two places. Just any dispensary you go to, just be aware. Do your research. Find out what kind of people work there. Find out if shit is not dropped on the floor and served to you. These little things actually matter in life. But until then, there's a town I know where the hipsters go called Bedrock. Twitch. This has been another excellent podcast by the Malaka himself, from the Malaka podcast. And by the way, for the last dispensary I just mentioned, if you want to do your research, you can find out the owner is living very well. Because according to her Facebook, all that money she's saving, it seems like she's living quite an awesome life. But for the price of her very unhappy employees. I don't know, people like that can live with themselves. But apparently for some people, It's very easy. But anyways, this has been another episode of the Malaka podcast called The Worst Job I've Ever Had and Weed, Part 3.